talks will be strategic, security and diplomatic talks between the two foreign ministers. And we can speculate as to what that will involve. Of course, Afghanistan very likely to have come up on the agenda, but we can expect the Israeli foreign minister to also steer the conversation to areas of priority for Israel. Of course, Iran will be one of them. He's expected to put forward Israel's position on the Iran nuclear deal and its concerns over Russia's staunch support for that agreement. Of course, Russia has also been helping to prop up the Iranian economy in the face of American sanctions after the deal collapsed. So certainly some concern with regards to Iran, but Syria, of course, another ongoing area of difficulty between Russia and Israel. There has, of course, been something of a detente between the two countries, an agreement by which they keep communication channels open, but certainly Russia maintains concerns over the alleged Israeli airstrikes in Syria against what it says are Iranian targets there.
There's a sense of some change in the air there in terms of that detente, in terms of that mechanism that apparently had been in place for so many years there over the skies of Syria. In recent months, Russia's been much more outspoken about alleged Israeli activity there, condemning it, even providing details. Previously never heard of details about how many jets and missiles were reportedly in the air over. What's behind that shift that we can detect reading the reports?
That's right. Russia has been certainly more specific and more numerous in its details about these alleged Israeli airstrikes in Syria. Of course, Russia has been backing and propping up the Syrian Assad government in the war since 2015 and has had a warning system in place with Israel to avoid any further spilling out of violence. But certainly over the course of the summer, Russia has been identifying a number of attacks that it says the Syrian government has thwarted, that it says were also carried out by Israel. Now, there is a suggestion that this lack of patience, this growing impatience on the Russian side has something to do with the new administration in Israel, that they are taking advantage of this moment of a change in power in Israel to try to up their own pressure on the Israeli government to try to stop or at least scale back these attacks. It's something that Russia has been concerned about for some time. Of course, the famous 2018 incident where a Russian jet was shot down by Syrians, what they say was by mistake when they were aiming for Israeli targets. That caused a lot of tension between the two countries, and Russia has been trying to avoid similar situations ever since.
Now, you mentioned that need to perhaps build a new rapport between Russia and Israel's new government. That's clearly a significant factor here. These are essentially new relations being formed.
Yes, that's right. They are indeed. Of course, Russia and Israel maintain what could be called friendly but complicated relations. It doesn't look likely to change with the new government in power. Russian President Vladimir Putin congratulated Naftali Bennett when he was sworn in as prime minister. They held a phone call in July where they promised to maintain good relations and said that they would meet soon. That meeting is expected to happen in October, and today's ministerial meeting here in Moscow is likely to lay the groundwork for that. And of course, on a bilateral level, relations remain very good. Trade is very solid, particularly in the tech sphere. So there are many areas of cooperation for Russia and Israel, but these Middle Eastern tensions are always bubbling under the surface.
Julia Chapman in Moscow, thanks for the breakdown of the meetings taking place. I believe as we speak, we'll have that press conference later on between Sergey Lavrov and Foreign Minister Lapid.